Have you ever felt like research funding is just this like never-ending uphill battle? You work so hard to get that grant and the project gets going, and then suddenly you're right back to square one trying to figure out where the next funds are going to come from.
It really is. It's kind of like you're building this incredible rocket that can make it all the way to orbit, but it doesn't have enough fuel to get back home. And I think that's where a lot of researchers get stuck, so focused on just getting that initial launch, that grant proposal, that they forget to think about how to keep the project going for the long term.
So you're saying we should be thinking about sustainability from the very beginning,
Yeah.
like right when we're writing that proposal. It's a little intimidating, to be honest.
Well, yeah, for sure. But it doesn't have to be this huge, overwhelming thing, though.
Yeah.
I think the way to think about it is this. Funders, right? They are looking for projects that are going to make a difference. They want to see that their money is going to create real change, not just be a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. Okay, so lasting impact, not just a quick result. I can see that. But how do you actually show that kind of long-term vision in a grant proposal? Like, how do you make them see that?
One of the best ways to do that is to build a really strong narrative, you
Hmm.
know, and make sure it really showcases how your research could have this ripple effect. So let's say, for example, you're researching some new renewable energy source, right? So don't just stop at the technical stuff. You really want to highlight how that technology could like change entire communities or create jobs or even like shift the entire global energy market,
Right.
make it big.
So it's all about making those connections for the funders and painting the bigger picture,
Yeah.
not just like focusing on the immediate research goals.
You got it. And you can even take it a step further by like building sustainability right into the way you design your research. For instance, if your project involves getting the community involved, you should think about how you can give them the power to actually continue that work even when the grant money runs out.
It's like you're building a self-sustaining system for your research, right? Like a little ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the things that can really make your proposal stand out because it shows the funders that you're not just in it for a quick win.
Yeah.
You're actually trying to build something that will have lasting value.
Okay, I'm on board with the big picture stuff,
Uh,
but how do you actually put that into a budget? The dollars and cents of the proposal. Money
Yeah.
talks, right?
You're absolutely right. And this is where a lot of researchers kind of trip up. They get so caught up in covering those immediate costs of the project that they don't really think about the long-term financial picture. I think one thing that can help is to put in specific line items that are just for sustainability initiatives.
Can you give me a few examples? I'm having a hard time picturing what that would look like.
Sure. Let's say you're developing a new educational program as part of your research. You could actually set aside some funds to train people from the community to run the program after the grant money's gone. Or say your research is going to create a bunch of valuable data. You could budget for making that data publicly available in a database that other people can use and build on even after your project is done.
Okay, I see. So it's about thinking beyond just the research itself and creating resources and infrastructure that will keep the project going strong, even without that initial grant money.
Precisely. And the interesting thing is that these kinds of things can actually make your proposal more appealing to funders. It shows that you're thinking strategically about how to get the most bang for their buck, how to really maximize the impact of their investment.
This is making a lot of sense now, but let's be real. It's really tough out there. There's so much competition for funding. How do you make your proposal stand out when there are hundreds of others vying for the same money?
One word: collaboration. But I'm not just talking about teaming up with other researchers, though that's important too. You should be thinking about reaching out to organizations or even businesses that could benefit from what your research discovers.
So like if I was studying ways to conserve water, I might partner with a local farming company or something.
Exactly. Those partnerships can bring so much to the table, not just money, but also expertise and experience. Plus, it shows those funders that your work can have real-world applications and isn't just some theoretical thing.
So it's like you're building this whole group of stakeholders who are invested in seeing the project succeed.
Exactly. And those collaborations, they can keep going long after that initial grant is over. It creates the support system for your research to keep it thriving.
This has been really eye-opening. I'm definitely starting to think about proposal writing in a whole new way. But I feel like there's still a lot more to uncover here.
Oh, absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface. One thing we haven't really talked about yet is communication and how that can play a role in making your research more sustainable.
Oh, that's a good point. Because it's not enough to just do the research, right? You have to be able to tell people about it in a way that they'll understand. But I'm not sure I get how that connects to getting funding.
Well, you got to think about it from the funder's perspective, right? They're putting money into this research, and they want to see that it's going to have a real impact out in the world. They want to know that the research is going to be shared and people will get it and use it to actually make things better.
So we need to show them that we have a plan to spread the word about our findings. Like
Yeah.
not keep it locked away in some ivory tower.
Exactly. It's bigger than just publishing in those academic journals, you know? You got to think about how to reach a wider audience, like maybe writing blog posts or making videos or even using social media.
So making the research accessible to people outside of academia, making it relevant to their lives.
That's the key, and that's what funders really like to see. It shows them that you're committed to making a real difference in the world, not just adding to a pile of research papers that nobody ever reads.
I see how all these pieces fit together now. It's like a puzzle, right? But I have to imagine it's really hard to balance all of this. I mean, you have the research itself and the collaborations and the communication strategy. And on top of all that, you have to stay focused on the main goals of the project.
Yeah.
How do you keep it all straight? Any tips?
It is. It's a real juggling act. That's why it's so important to have a crystal clear vision of what your research is about from the very beginning. Like, what are the big questions you want to answer? What kind of impact do you hope to have?
So starting with the why of the research helps keep you on track.
Exactly. Once you've got that why figured out, then you can start building a strategic plan. And that plan will include all those elements we talked about, the research design, the collaborations, how you're going to communicate your findings, and of course, how you're going to pay for it all.
Sounds like a lot of planning up front. But I bet it pays off in the end.
Oh, absolutely. It makes the whole process of getting and keeping that research funding so much easier when you have a roadmap to follow.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I've learned so much.
Hmm.
But honestly, I think a lot of researchers out there are still going to feel intimidated by this whole process. Do you have any advice for someone who's just starting out and wants to make their research sustainable?
I'd say the most important thing is to find some good mentors. Look for other researchers who have experience with all this. You can learn a lot from them, both from their successes and from the mistakes they made along the way.
So finding those people who can guide you and support you.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be shy about reaching out to potential collaborators or even funders early in the process. Share your ideas with them. Get their feedback. Start building those relationships. Because remember, making research sustainable is a team effort. It's not a solo mission.
That's a good point. I think it's easy to get caught up in the competition of it all, but at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same goals, right?
That's right. We all want to expand our knowledge and make the world a better place. And when we work together, we can make research more sustainable and have a bigger impact.
That's a great thought to keep in mind. I feel like I've learned so much about how to approach research sustainability from the proposal writing stage. So let's say some of our listeners are feeling super inspired now, right? And they're ready to write those proposals with sustainability in mind. What's like one concrete thing they can do like right now today to get started?
I would say dive deep into the guidelines of those potential funders. You know, really look at their priorities. Don't just like skim over them.
Mm-hmm.
Really search for clues about what they think is important for long-term impact and sustainability.
So like be a detective, huh? Looking for those little hints that can give you a leg up.
Yeah, exactly. And once you have a good idea of what those funders are looking for, then you can start to tailor your proposal to highlight those things.
It's like learning to speak their language,
Right.
showing them that you get what they care about.
You got it. And don't forget this. Don't be afraid to actually reach out to those program officers or whoever at those funding organizations. Ask questions, get feedback on your ideas, and start building those relationships early on.
So taking the initiative and making those connections early can really make a difference.
Absolutely. It shows them that you're serious about this and that you really want to create something that will last.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I've learned a whole new way to think about proposal writing. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that getting the money is just the first step. The real goal is to do research that makes a real difference in the world. You know, something that lasts. And you can do that by making sustainability part of everything you do. From that first spark of an idea all the way to sharing your results with the world. That's how you make sure your work keeps making a difference even after that grant money's gone.
That's a great message to end on. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I feel like we've all learned a lot.
It's been my pleasure. And hey, to all the researchers listening out there, keep pushing those boundaries, keep innovating, and keep trying to make a real impact. The world needs what you do,